Let's do it.
Psalm 46:1. God is our refuge and strength, a very present help in trouble. It was a when was it? It was 2012 NBF. We're down in Melbourne, just chilling with the boys, and I think it was a time when Johnny Manor just found out that he had cancer again, and I bought this book from the NBF that was just like famous like promises that God had given us. And I was like, you know what, I'm going to find a verse to encourage him. And I was like, what, in year 11 or something? I was like, you know what, maybe he'll get encouraged. And I was like, hey, Johnny, I memorized this verse for you. And I was like, God is my refuge and strength, a very present help in time of trouble. And that was like the whole thing is like I memorized that verse for him. So when you're ever going through a hard time or you think you're on your own, just remember that verse. God is your refuge. He's something you can run to and hide if you're feeling threatened. But it said he's also your strength and he'll give you the strength to overcome whatever struggle you're going through.
I like that.
I didn't know that story about Johnny.
Yeah, that was the time when I learned that verse. I was sitting outside the hotel, walking up and down the car park. It's a very easy verse, but it took me like half an hour to learn. Very weird.
But it's a good one because it's when you do go through those times of trouble, it's very, very easy to turn on the worry and just start freaking out. But it's always important to remember that he's, refuge and strength. And they're two things that you're constantly looking for when you go through a bad time. You're looking for something to confide in and you're looking for someone to bear the load, right? Because you've just fallen to pieces, right? You're going through stress, you're going through struggle, and you need someone to bear that load. And it's awesome that that is your place to go.
I even like even that last one. It says a very present help. It's not like when you say you reach out to a mate, hey mate, what are you doing? He's like, oh, I'll be there in 30 minutes.
Or a missed call.
Yeah, or a missed call. It's a very present help. It's like whenever you need it, bang, he's present. He's there ready for you.
Yeah. Like I've told the story of when I was first woke up in ICU. I wanted to talk to someone, but I couldn't move my arm because my phone was on the bench. I couldn't reach it. So that night, I had just told God the whole story of the car accident. And it's just like, exactly right. He was just there and I knew I could talk to him. And that really set up the rest of the time that I was going through those trials because I'd struggled with that, but he was there to take care of it. Jax, anything on that verse?
It kind of, like when Jeremy was reading it, it kind of just reminded me of the time, like early in our pregnancy, and we were having like our second appointment, and I hadn't like had an ultrasound yet. I hadn't heard the heartbeat yet, and I was kind of like a little bit worried, and I don't know if this is like, like, yeah, stuff happened, and then like we went to the doctor, and she was just like, I'll book a ultrasound for you. So I had to do that. I think we went on a Sunday morning, and then my ultrasound was going to be either Monday or Tuesday. And like I had remembered, like I told my parents, like I'd messaged my mom and my dad, like, oh, this had happened. And then like I was like crying to Jeremy, and he was just like, why don't you pray? And so like I did pray. And it's very true, like I felt just like God's peace. And even though like, you know, like I'm married and like I can lean on my husband, like it's very different comfort that you get from God. Like no one else can give you that peace and that strength. And even though I can run to Jeremy, like God is so much greater than Jeremy is, and I can run to him. So, yeah.
No, I like that. And it was something we were talking about in Bible college today. The question was, how do you empathize with someone who you've had zero experience that they've experienced, right? Like you have no life experience that they do. And the crazy thing is that no matter what life experience you're going through, God can empathize with you and he can sort you out in a completely different way.
Yeah, it's a very encouraging verse. I think when you're out of a situation and you read it, you're like, oh, he's very present helping. It's such a good reminder. But there's sometimes we seem to forget that when we're in the situation.
100%.
We forget that, oh, where do we turn to? Who do we look to? Where do we read? Where do we start? How do we know he's there for us? And then we look at that verse straight away and it's there.
Yeah.
But there's just so many times, like as I said, when we're out of a situation, how many times we can forget about it and who do we run to? And because sometimes, like I've mentioned last week or week before, we always seem to find a way to figure out going through every other avenue before going to God.
Yeah.
But God's made it very clear He's ever-present help in time of trouble. Yeah. And so it's just a wonderful reminder that in a situation, out of a situation, we always need to recognize that. So if we do get entered into unfamiliar territory, we must have that verse remembered so that we know, all right, God, you're the first person I want to go to, and I need that peace from you. So
I think that's the big point is stop running to everything else and run to God first. And I think that's our challenge for this week, in that if you're going through something, whether it be big, whether it be small, go to God first and let him sort it out.
Yep.
It's a good verse, mate. See? You got that at the end of the day.
I got it.
Nice.
You got it.
Stato.